1, 2, 3. Tuesday with Tamika. Tuesday.
Hey, you guys. Welcome back for another episode of Tuesday with Tamika. Super excited to have you guys back as we wrap up this series on gratitude. And ain't no way, ain't that what the kids say, babe? Ain't no way, ain't no way I was going to end this series without being grateful for my amazing husband. Plus, y'all was all in my DMs talking about, we love the episode with you and Paul. We love the episode. So I wanted to make sure that he came back and we talked about this topic of gratitude. Also, I wanted us to, last time Paul was on the episode, we talked about our beautiful love story and our journey down the aisle, but we also are super grateful for all the bumps in the road that caused us to get to that journey down the aisle. Before we get going with this week's episode, let's go over those 4 pillars. Babe, you know the 4 pillars of Tuesday with Tamika?
Go ahead, baby.
Pillar number 1, we lift as we climb. Pillar number 2, we turn those trials into treasures. Pillar number 3, we live
a life to inspire and not impress.
Come on now. And pillar number 4, we allow God to fully restore us. 2 out of 3. That ain't bad. That ain't bad. All right. So this week we want to share our gratitude for one another. And I kind of wanted to open up this episode with remember, babe, right before you asked me to marry you, God gave you a word that our marriage, our ministry, everything that we were doing was going to be
unorthodox.
Unorthodox. And neither one of us knew what that meant.
No, not at the time.
I still don't have a full revelation. But babe, what has God showed you about our relationship and the unorthodoxness of it?
Quite a bit. I mean, he showed us that it was basically going to be different. Different in the sense of that we were going to be able to walk through these different steps in the healing process of being married and seeing what a healed relationship is really like. A lot of times we don't allow ourselves to heal in the relationship, so we always see the negative aspect of a relationship where 2 people will divorce or separate at the drop of a dime.
That's really good, babe. I know that for me, I'm grateful for the ups, the downs, the highs and the lows, and all the valleys in between that we've experienced to get to where we're going. And so I want to talk about how we've healed together in this relationship to have the marriage that we have today. So do you remember our first big blow up? And how we was ready to throw in the towel, y'all. Y'all wouldn't be seeing Mr. and Mrs. Thomas.
Yeah, right.
What do you remember what that was about?
Yeah, it was actually about both of us loving God more than we loved ourselves.
Hold on, babe. If you got your notebooks, if you got your pens, it's time to start taking notes.
So, I mean, we both love God wholeheartedly, and we came so far in life that there was no compromising in our relationship with God, no matter who it was with. So with you and with me, we didn't want to compromise our relationship with God, but we were willing to work together and see eye to eye on different issues. And a lot of times it wasn't even an issue, it was just a different point of view of what you call your relationship was with God and what I called it. And we both was right, but it was a matter of, okay, how do we make this work in our marriage?
Yeah, it was definitely one of those moments of saying the same things, but saying them in different ways.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, the reason why relationships end prematurely is because we don't have effective communication. And I want to stop because I want to talk about things ending prematurely or starting prematurely. So not only did we almost end our relationship prematurely, but we almost started it prematurely. And I think that would have caused the death of our relationship. When you start something too early or end something too early, there's only two things that can happen: death and delay. So let's walk them through some of that, like those hard times that we had in our relationships. And I want you to share with the women, especially the TWT sisters that are watching, and even the brothers. I believe that today's lesson and today's really episode is really going to help those of you that are ready to walk down that aisle, that are ready to attract a covenant relationship with God first and then with your partner.
Yeah.
Can we talk about you sliding into them DMs?
Well, yeah. Yeah, we can. We can. For me, when I slid into the DMs, is actually to the DM. It was actually just to let you know that you're being noticed. You know, so that way you don't go too far. You know, and whatever relationship you were on, I just wanted you to know like you're being noticed. And by doing that, it's like, hey, how you doing? And, you know, small talk, nothing too serious, but just to let you know that we were being noticed.
But do you remember how I used to respond?
Yeah.
How did I? Come on. Say it with your whole chest.
You was a little cold. You was a little cold.
And there was a couple of reasons, you know, whenever he would, hey, beautiful, hey, you know, he would put little heart stuff on my, you know, the little heart eyes, and I'd be like, thank you, brother. I would give him the cold shoulder, ladies. And there was a couple of different reasons. One is because I was still being positioned. Hear me out. Hear me out. Some of us move too quickly. I understood that God was positioning me, and he was also positioning him.
Yeah.
I didn't know that because I didn't know everything that you were going through and all the things, but I did know that God was positioning me. So I knew that I couldn't answer. I couldn't get too giddy. I couldn't do any of those things because it would have delayed what God had for us ultimately.
Right.
Did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, and also for me, it's just like, for men, a lot of times, small talk can bring out bigger conversations. So for me, I just needed that small talk so I can know how to go about pursuing you.
You was trying
eventually.
to open up that door. See that small talk is like that opening up that door.
No. You know, if somebody ever come knocking at your door, what do? You look at the peephole first. So I want you to know that I'm peeping out this hole. That I see you, you know, so that was my slide in the DM, just to let you know I'm peeping you out.
I heard it. I heard it. I feel it. I appreciate that. So ladies, answer those DMs. Answer those DMs. We're going to go on a quick commercial break, and when we get back, we're going to talk to you guys about the cracks, the breaks, the unhealed versions of us that we had to get through in order to be where we're at today. Hey, it's your girl Tamika Thomas, your life and relationship coach, and I am calling all single ladies. Woo woo! Where you at, sis? I'm calling you over for my booked, busy, and booed up free 3-day virtual event happening December 12th, 13th, and 14th. You're probably wondering, well, sis, who are you and how do you have the credentials to show us? Again, my name is Tamika Thomas, and I teach women how to determine if he is a partner or a pretender. I want you in this next virtual event so we can get you by the next 90 days booked, busy, and booed up. All right, y'all. So I really hope that you guys registered for that event. That event is going to be incredible. I am going to be talking to you guys about really how to be booked, busy, and booed up. And it didn't start this way, babe. Like when we were dating, when you was peeping through that peephole, I was on a journey. I was speaking, I was traveling, I was coaching, I was doing all the things. And I remember after we cleared the air and we decided that we were going to try again and that we were going to really commit ourselves to this relationship and to this marriage, I want to say it was year 2 or 3. You surprised me with a trip to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And when you surprised me, you also came in with a long vase with all these roses.
Right.
And you told me years later that the way that vase looked is how you saw me.
Right.
Can we get into that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm actually very meticulous about how things should look, how things should go.
Very.
About planning. It's just everything has to work. Everything has to add up.
Slow, y'all.
And she'll tell you at the grocery store, I should be there for like 5 minutes for some tissue. I'm there for about at least 20, 30 minutes, because I'm going to make sure I get what we need, what we want. And the grocery basket is probably going to be full. And I always buy extra. So I don't know why, but maybe it's that hoarding thing that we watched the other night. That could be,
It ain't no
could be a little small thing. That'll be another show. It's coming though. But no, so that's just a little background about me. Is like I really take my time to get the detail of things. Even in my business, construction, I'm a perfectionist. If it ain't done right, I will take it down and do it all over again to make sure it's done right. So when I went and bought the flowers, I probably spent about 2 hours in the store just looking around trying to find this right vase that actually resembles who she is as a person. I know we just throw flowers in it, but a lot of times the flower dies, but the vase still remains. And I didn't want this vase to just be in the cupboard where you don't see it. I want her to be able to use it. It'd be an accent piece to something in the house.
Hold on one second, babe, because that was extremely powerful, what he just said. A lot of times the flowers die. And so when you're hearing the word flowers, I want you to think about the job, the situation, the thing, like it will pass away, but your foundation, who you are to the core, your core values. So your first faith action step for today is to write down, what is your base? What holds you together? What makes you up? I didn't want to miss that, babe, because that was extremely powerful, what you said.
Yeah, that was great. That was real good. And also, this is something you can use, is that I handpicked it. So just imagine being handpicked. So, and God took his time with you, and he's taking his time with who he has out for you. We didn't do anything prematurely because I wanted to make sure that it was handpicked and that you were the person for me from God, and vice versa. So after we picked out the flowers, I cut them open, and actually I was with the flowers, and we were putting them in one by one. We making sure that it stands up right, and this flower's too big, it's gonna die tomorrow. We take that one out, we put a new one in. So we went into some detail with this. So most of all about the vase, actually we got it here. This beautiful vase. About this vase.
I don't know.
Can you see
it, sir?
This vase, to me, the bigness of it just represents how big and how full of life that she is. And the cracks were all the unforeseen things that she endured in her life. You know, it was some things that it might be still there, but it's a fracture, you know, and God brought me into her life to keep it and hold it intact, you know. So whatever the trauma that she went through, and I always told her, like, my mission when I asked God, like, hey, what is it that you want me to do? What am I here for? You know, because I was trying to understand the purpose, especially after the first date, and she was like, she wasn't feeling me at first. The vibe wasn't there. But he was letting me know, like, you got to love the hell out of her. And I'm like, love the hell out of her? Like, is it that bad? And, you know, it's like, she crazy, cray. You know, but it was some stuff that she may have endured in her life that she needed to know, like, hey, I got you, you know, and these are represented, like all the different stuff that she went through in her life, whether it been in her childhood, adulthood, and parenting mistakes, whatever it would have been. You know, God wanted me to show you, like, hey, I got you. You know, so all these cracks at the bottom, and then this morning I was thinking, and the scripture came to mind that your latter day will be greater than your last. And I don't know if you see it, but if you can, all the cracks are at the bottom. And he's letting you know that your latter day will be greater. That you will be able to see through all the stuff that you went through at the bottom. And that you will be able to see clearly that your latter day will be greater.
That's beautiful.
You got it.
Thank you, babe. I also wanted to share with this vase that it will be used over and over and over again. So sometimes we believe that God's not going to send us our person because of all those cracks, because of all those unhealed areas. And when we went out on our first date, the unhealed version of me was leading the way. But I am so grateful that God saw it fit to find somebody to perfectly match me with somebody that was able to see the cracks. See, I didn't lead with perfection. I didn't lead with performing. I didn't lead with pretending. That's a lot of times why God can't mend us. He can't bring someone to be that salve, to be that ointment, to really help us heal, is because we're too busy trying to be perfect. We're too busy pretending. We're too busy performing. We have to show up with our imperfections, with our flaws, and God's going to send somebody that's able to be that ointment. And so when you are presented to the world, when I walk out that house, when my husband walks out the house, nobody sees the cracks. Nobody sees the damage. Nobody sees the trauma. Yeah. They see the healed version of us.
Right.
So, babe, I want to thank you, and I want to show you extreme gratitude for loving the hell out of me.
Right.
And the great thing about that vase is we now use it. You want to grab it again, babe? Mm-hmm. We use this. This is our broom that we jumped the broom when we got married. And so now this sits in our living room. Our kids get to see it. Other folks get to see it. And we get to show the unorthodox way of marriage. We get to show the unpopular opinion that you have to be healed and whole before God brings you somebody. We get to show you the unpopular opinion that we were still broken in some areas. Yeah. But yet God brought us together so we can sit in front of you today and tell you if he did it for us, he'll do it for you. Babe, give us some advice for the brothers out there.
Oh, wow. Got some Brothers. So it didn't actually just start, just out of nowhere. It took work. It took time where God had to mold me. He had to make me. He had to heal me. And I had to look deep within myself, to find out my own fault and what I'm doing wrong or what I wasn't doing right, So I think for brothers, what happens is we have to draw closer to, if we want answers, we need to draw closer to the one that created us. We are his creation. So why not attend to the creator to find out, hey, what should I do? How do I look? How do I better myself in life? I believe there was, for men in Israel, the men used to get together 3 times out of the year where God would bring everybody together, and what he would do, he would pour into their lives. He would speak to them. Men, you got to draw closer to God, because he is our covering. How can we cover our house without us being covered? How can we protect our wives, our neighborhood, our family without being covered by the Creator? So we have to draw closer to God. Go into your prayer room, ask him, what should I do? Stop taking him out of the equation and the deals that you make. That way it doesn't affect your family. When we're not covered, she gets wet. It's just like having an umbrella. I got the umbrella, but I put it down. Now she's getting affected. Now the kids are getting affected because I'm not covering us all. So what we have to do is keep us covered by attending to God, listening to God, adding him into our lives, and that way we will protect our family from future endeavors that they don't need to be in. Yeah, so I was able to speak with my daughter this weekend, and I was letting her know, she's on the basketball team, and she was like, hey, I had enough of this, so I just stopped, trying to help somebody. And I told her that's okay, because a lot of times some people can't receive your help. But then me being a father also, I said, but can I go deeper? Can I let you know what it really is? It was a person or an individual was actually getting aroused out of making gestures or making her upset. It was so much. But that was the God in me letting her know, like, hey, avoid this. Get away from that. Don't do this. This is why we don't do that. So that's where we come in as men and as fathers. We got to be there to protect our family. So if my advice for the men will be actually just to draw closer to God, that you will be able to protect your family. You're able to protect your marriage. You're able to see the different cracks, and you're able to keep everything intact.
I love that. And I just want to add to that, to speak to the sisters for a little bit as we get ready to wrap up this episode. As he's holding that umbrella, as he puts up that umbrella, you make sure you grab that handle too. You're holding it underneath him, but it is our job to be their helpmate. We have been lied to and made to believe that they do all the work. We work with our man. We partner with them. And as you are preparing to be booked, busy, and booed up, I want to give you the 3 P's and we out of here for today. I want you to pray. Just like Paul was saying, you pray. You pray for God to show you who's for you. You pray that God shows you the partners versus the pretenders. The next thing that you have to do is you have to position yourself to be found. Listen, sister, ain't nobody gonna come to your house if the porch light ain't on. So you need to make sure that you are being that light. Perfectly position yourself to be found. And then the third thing is prepare. Prepare your heart, prepare your mind, prepare your soul. Don't believe what they say that you have to be perfect, because God allows our husband to be that ointment to heal us. Babe, I love doing life with you.
Yes.
And I want to thank you for being on this journey with me so we can continue to show people the unorthodox
Yes, you got it.
way to love. Until next week, make sure you guys are continuing to lift as you climb, turn your trials into treasures, live a life to inspire and not impress, and allow God to fully restore you. Bye-bye.
All right.